I chose to look through Lexia Learning for my OLP. I was unable to get to see the teacher access with my free sample, but I did look through the pre-kindergarten, second grade level, and fourth grade level on the student side. I'm going to start here with the pre-K side. The first thing I noticed when I clicked on the pre-K,
Level 1.
The first thing I noticed is if I were a pre-K student and I clicked on this, obviously it's nice and bright and colorful, but I see words here, and that worries me. You just have to make sure that as the teacher you were very explicit and use the pictures, tell them to click on the apple or the cupcake rather than click on rhyming or letter matching. The other piece for navigation that would concern me for these kids is the number of words on this page as well. And again, you would have to make sure you were very explicit in making sure they knew that they needed to click on whichever number it was that you needed them to click on. Lexia does focus on literacy skills, so phonemic awareness, phonics, print concepts, vocabulary, fluency, comprehension. As the level increased, vocabulary, fluency, as the level increased, the foundational skills tapered off more and the advanced language and literacy skills were introduced. As the lessons advanced, I did not see that each activity within the lesson were necessarily related to each other. So if I go into a second grade lesson here, I'll show you what I mean by that. So this is a second grade lesson, and as I go into it, each activity kind of acts in isolation from one another, which my wonderings on this would be, how as the teacher do you make sure that you assign a lesson that would either complement what you are currently teaching in the classroom or would help, or how could you assign a lesson to help support a student who was having some difficulties in an area. So for example, in this first activity, students are going to be working on the hard and soft C rule, and then the next one is the hard and soft G rule. We've also got syllable division here. We've also have spelling rules here. So we're talking about if it has one syllable word with a short vowel sound, that we double that final consonant. So there's a lot of skills in one lesson. And so to me, I think that could be tough to have that many skills in one lesson. Of course, it could be completely, because if I were to go into the teacher side, I could be able to isolate those lessons to help really identify which skills to push out to students, and it couldn't even be an issue. I'm not sure. There is technically no assessment for Lexia. From what I observed of the activities, the lessons do seem to focus more on low-level Bloom's taxonomy skills rather than on analysis, evaluating, or synthesizing. Regarding feedback, if a student makes an error, the computer will restate the prompt and provide the student a second chance.
Can make two sounds.
If the student misses a second time, the computer gives a more thorough scaffolded approach the second time. I didn't get access to the teacher side, so I can't speak to the feedback a teacher would receive. But here's an example.
This box if there is a soft C in the word you hear. Can has a hard C sound. K. C can make the soft sound S when it is followed by an E, I, or the vowel Y, as in city. Choose this box if there is a...
So in that case, it actually did go into the spelling pattern behind it. However, if you go through this lesson and you don't make a mistake, it actually never goes into the pattern. So that was actually a concern of mine the first time. I do think the activities are fairly fast-paced and interactive. They're colorful, but however, like anything, I can see students' enthusiasm waning over time with use. The best aspect is I really do like that it breaks down things like the spelling skills like with the K and the S. I don't like that you have to miss it in order to get the pattern behind it. I think that should be part of. I like that it works on syllable division. One of the things that I didn't like in the 4th grade, it starts talking about root words, and it's very much in isolation. So I will show you that here quickly. First of all, we have a lot of root words being studied at one time, which can be overwhelming. And a lot of times when we're talking about vocabulary, we really want to focus on peer discussion and interaction, and that's tough to do in this environment. But I'm not a fan of the way this is isolated, and we've got just a single word, and we're just looking at triangle, and that tri means 3, so we're just simply matching that up. I don't necessarily know that that's the best way to work on root words, so that is a downfall in my eyes. As far as the question about whether or not I would recommend this program to a teacher, I think in the age we are in, we need resources for online learning. I think this program could be beneficial as long as teachers understand that they need to extend the thinking from this, that these practice exercises are just that, practice. We still need to provide opportunities for extension, and that we have to be very careful that we are not overdoing it, because if we overdo it and the kids become bored and don't want to do it, then kids are not going to engage in the lessons, and then they're just going to pretend to do these lessons, and then it's not going to be helpful at all.